Okay, now getting started. So I kind of mentioned framework earlier about like web-based. I'm not going to do that today because that one is a lot of text on a screen, and I don't think anyone wants to really look at that for this workshop. So we're going to look at Unity. It's great for prototyping. Unity has very much developed their VR scene quite a lot. That for anybody that wants to get into like VR and all that, Unity is probably the easiest way because you can just download one of the templates and everything's available to you. It also offers an asset store, so if you can't 3D model, or I don't know if they sell scripts on there or like packages, I think they do, but then you get scripts and stuff already come with it. And then it also offers pre-installed packages with the templates that are really good. Unreal Engine, very good for high fidelity projects, very good for entertainment-based projects, so something that you really want to look good. You might want to use Unreal Engine, not to say you can't do it in Unity, but it's really easy in Unreal Engine. It offers blueprints. So a great thing about blueprints is if you're like an artist and you want to get into VR, you don't have to code. It's actually recommended not to use C++ as the template forces you to use blueprints already. Doesn't mean you can't use C++ scripts, but later in the workshop you'll find out that blueprints are very strong, very powerful, and maybe better than coding for some people, especially artists, because they had their whole materials and texture stuff used blueprints and not a lot of C++. If anything, I don't recall seeing in my experience, but yeah. And they also have fabs. It's a new thing they launched where you can download assets which also are supported in Unity. So it's a good place to grab things that you might not be able to make. And then it also has plugins to make your project compatible, Vive, Meta, Steam, OpenXR. OpenXR has kind of like consumed all of that, but yeah. And then basics. There's two key terms I need you guys to remember, and it's very important. If anything from this workshop you remember these two things because they're very important. Interactable, stuff you can grab and use. Local motion, it refers to the rig that lets you move, how you turn, how you walk, whether you're teleporting, whether you're snap turning. Those are the two big things. I think everything else is programming mumbo jumbo. Okay, so now this next bit, we're gonna look at a bunch of pictures of code, and it's kind of foreshadowing what we're gonna do in this workshop. So it's workshop time. So we're gonna look at Unity setup, Unreal Engine setup, and then Unity is gonna be like 5 minutes, very easy, basic things to look at. And then Unreal is gonna be a little bit longer because I gotta explain a little bit more about like blueprints, some class objects and stuff, and why we changed some things. So this is Unity. Some of you might know, but when you open up Unity's little UI for its Unity Hub thing, you can make a new project, and you have this thing called VR Core. I recently learned, either further down, they have VR multiplayer. I don't know they had a template for multiplayer already, so that's really cool. But for this one, VR Core, create project, everything else gets installed, and that's it. And then you get this beautiful thing. Here, we are basically gonna right-click in this panel, make a cube, and that's it. So far, no code. There's no like text besides this. And then in the cube, you delete everything that isn't rigid body, box collider, and the mesh render. And then you add these two components, and what does it do to the cube? It lets it be interactable. So no scripting, no opening up a text editor, literally adding two components, and you've just added a new thing you can interact with. Very easy, very beginner friendly. Now this is Unreal. They've updated their UI quite a bit, very new, but this kind of the same thing. Kind of hit the new project when you launch your Unreal editor, and you click virtual reality. Note that they only have one, not as big, not as complex, but either way, you open up to a developed scene. It's a template. And in this one, we're gonna have to get a little bit more hands-on find the actions. Input actions is what kind of helps you move around, control your character in the world. But what we have to do is make a new input action, and with that new input action, we are going to designate that one will be axis 2D, so that means on like an analog stick, whenever I move left, right, up, down, it's gonna wanna read those values. And we give it a dead zone so that it's not sensitive, so you really have to push on it. And we'll make another input action for turn smoothing. Biggest difference, very hard to see. This one will only take one direction, so left, right in the X direction, and also have a dead zone. And then they have mappings. So basically, when you make a bunch of input actions, you want to put it together in a thing called input action map. I think that's what it's called. And what it does is it's telling me that, oh, I'm gonna want to assign AI move, which is like your movement, to the y-axis thumbstick of the valve index. So if I had a valve index, I would assign it the right one. So whenever I moved up and down on the joystick, it would read a value, and it would tie it to whatever is in the input action. Remember, that one was just getting the value and all that. And then we have to make two, yeah.
Is there a universal one for all different types of headsets, or do you have to do it manually per each headset that you decide to support, like controllers?
I'm not entirely sure. I don't think there is. When I was looking at this, they had a bunch of mappings for every like controller that's out there. The only one that I'm interested about is this one called mixed reality, because it's kind of like broad. So maybe, but I didn't want to like break it.
Something that's more broad.
You do, yeah. You want to make this as simplistic as possible. You don't want to have to reference every single controller scheme out there. You'd want to be able to just know that you have this one and done, and you don't have to worry about if someone makes a new controller, right? It just reads the same. I'm sure there's ways to do it, but this is just how the template goes. But yeah, and then we want to add two new booleans. Booleans are true or false statements. So this can either be true or false using teleport and using smooth turning. And then we are gonna add nodes. These little block things are called nodes, and they do a bunch of things. This one, as I was hoping it'd be easier to read, but this one is getting the input action map that we had, and it's basically reading the value. So whenever I move the joystick, it'll fire this trigger node pin into this branch, and it will read, are we using teleport? And if we have it at false, we're not gonna do anything. But if it's at true, we'll teleport trace all this stuff, and then when it's started, it'll draw the teleport trace, and then when it's completed, we'll end up teleporting. Completed is when you stop inputting values, so when you stop messing with the joystick. And then we're gonna implement something for snap turning. Edit for snap turning. We're just gonna put this check using smooth turn. If we're not using smooth turn, we're gonna wanna make it snap turn, yeah.
Are these all included, or are these things that you have to
So this is included. Everything that's added is using teleport and these three branches, which is just reading the Boolean value, so it's either true or false.
So is the player possessing like an already made actor, or
yeah.
is it like, okay.
So everything belongs to the template. The whole point is just understanding the basics of Unreal, or of VR. Yeah.
So you know what to interface with.
Yeah. So this one too, everything is provided except for the Boolean we made and except for the branch to check what the value is. And then another thing we have to do before adding our smooth turning and smooth movement is going into class settings and changing it to a character. So by default, it's a pawn. And what a pawn is, it's an actor in Unreal that a player or an AI can possess to move around in the world, whatever, all the things that you might want. That's like a generic term. Why do we want a character? Because a character allows us to move as like a video game character, as a first-person character would. And it basically kind of sets up a auto capsule collider, so we don't have to do that ourselves. And it allows that if you wanted to add like a skeletal mesh, which is basically, think my body, but in a game, skeletal mesh, a lot of things, it will kind of have a slot for that already. Yeah.
Is an actor kind of like a game object in Unity?
Yeah, similar. Yeah. I would say it's very similar. Like it's kind of one-to-one where you make an actor for about anything in Unreal. You don't like it really anything in the game. Game object, kind of the same thing. You make it for anything. I just don't think Unity even now has anything to be different. It's always game object. Then yeah, I would say pawn is like that overarching thing. And then this is something we have to add ourselves. So this is to add smooth turning. So basically what we're gonna do is triggered remembers when you're inputting something. It's gonna fire this pin. We're gonna check, do we wanna do smooth turning? If it's true, we're just gonna add to the actor's world rotation. So what that does is, if I flick my thumbstick to the left, I'm gonna start turning left. And then rot speed, rotation speed, something that will add, I'll show you how to add that during the live demo, is a pin that I give it a value and it multiplies into the action value map, which goes to delta rotation, because we only want to rotate around the Z. If we rotated anything else, we cause motion sickness and people would quit. Why do we multiply? Action value is between 0 and 1. So you kind of want to multiply how fast you can turn. And then this is to get the smooth movement going. So kind of the same setup, check it for teleporting, branch it, take our action values, multiply it. Why are we doing it twice? One for the X value, one for the Y value. And what is going on up here is we want the camera to follow us. We don't want that to just like fall behind. So we reference the get right and get forward actor. So when we're moving, it kind of lines up properly. And then last thing, in the class defaults, which is like basic settings for your blueprints, you want to disable this. Use controller rotation yaw. We don't need that, especially for smooth rotation and movement. Oh. Now we're going to do live demo. Does anyone have questions? Now, let me ask this. You can be blatantly obvious, because this is where I'm going to do like a live coding, which can be really tough to follow if I go too fast. Is anyone going to follow in Unity? Is anyone going to follow in Unreal? Perfect. Means I can go as fast as I want. But yeah, we're just going to launch it. And it's going to open up that screenshot you saw of, let's make a new project. Okay, there we go. Kind of the same thing. There's a new project, there's a My Projects. Everything is still loading, which is fine. A bunch of useful things. Them themselves also have a tutorial, which is pretty well done. Go to My Projects. Presentation, see? It's the project I took all the screenshots in.
Harris, while it's reloading, could I ask, where would you go to start baseline? If you wanted to start working on Unreal Engine immediately, where would you go for some resources to be able to have the background to actually interact with the actors and like templates properly?
So Udemy is pretty known for like their tutorials and stuff. I recommend them. I know it costs sometimes like $12, but yeah, with their sales. I recommend it just because there's a whole community that's already gone through it. They have a whole comment section. So let's say you buy a tutorial for Unreal Engine 5.2 and something in the tutorial is outdated and doesn't work in 5.7. It's fun to go through the comments and see people who've like solved it or have the same issues, and you try to work through it, because that kind of furthers your understanding. So yeah, Udemy, kind of a great place for a sense of community and everything. And then YouTube. There's a lot of good resources out there for how to get started in Unreal, how to understand further things like what is a blueprint, what are actors, what are pawns, what How do I get like C++ scripting and all that? I do recommend if you do start getting into Unreal Engine, first start off with blueprints. You'll start to learn how Unreal Engine works. You'll learn about the variables, all the types of blueprints, all the different types of UI actors really quickly, because you're just node-based coding. And then once you get a firm understanding, switch to C++. But you can have both, so it works. So, bye-bye.
Where'd he go?
I'm gone.
Bro, what is the metaverse?
I'm in the metaverse right now.
Oh my goodness. And he's
Did you hear the
in
great news
metaverse.
about the metaverse?
It's coming back. There's like, I went into there to see what was going on in the metaverse, and I was immediately hit with like a bunch of kids screaming, so I just left. It's not fun. It's not a fun place.
Oh my goodness, and he's there.
Let me like full screen it. Don't. It's flooded. It's flooded with like a bunch of AI slop. So
Speaking of AI slop.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Got all this. I can't.
I'm so glad it's going down.
So yeah, see, with all the changes done, I can turn and all that. I don't think it saved my changes I made before, because I don't know if you guys can tell, but when I'm turning, it kind of looks weird.
You're moving a little bit.
Like turning, it's weird. Yeah, yeah, I am moving. It's really weird. But like, I can still interact with this. I have a gun, can shoot stuff, and that's all included. So like, downloading this template, you could figure out how this works, change it, can throw it, can grab a cube, and you can throw it. Pretty cool, yeah? Do it again.
Can you juggle? One more. Oh, you can juggle right now, ready?
Oh, shit. Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of with like all the changes done already. I just have to open up. Oh yeah, see. Unreal Engine has this very nice thing that if you close it, save your project, whatever, and you had a bunch of files open, it'll ask you the next time you open it, do you want to open these files again? It's a bless, especially when you have like 1 million files. But let me do this, and notice I'm still like pretty tall in the game. So let's half this. So I'm gonna launch this again, and then I'm gonna show you what you kind of get when you open the template normally for the first time. So how did that happen? That's cool. Let me get back. So I can only like snap, turn. I can't continuously move. If I flick my other joystick, it opens this like ray trace, basically telling me how to teleport, where I'm gonna teleport and everything, but everything behaves the same. The only difference is that I'm not, I can't move nicely. And I can still grab this. I can still grab this, I can still shoot it, I can do whatever, I can throw it. I can do this again. I'm not gonna juggle, but I'm gonna throw it. But yeah, kind of the same thing. This is what you get. You just get kind of a teleportation feel, and it kind of makes sense. VR sickness is a thing that's being studied on how to reduce. And what exactly is if you're prone to motion sickness, if you're on a ship or anything, seasick, even some people in cars get motion sickness. It's the same thing, but it gets induced a lot quicker. Less than 90 FPS, instant. You're gonna feel nauseous. So you wanna have that. Okay, so you get all of this in the template, no coding, really crazy. Under this little section down there, there's an input actions that you can open up. And this is kind of like what I said. This is where you map like, this is where you want to do something. So if I want to record a button press, I'd find the button option, reads a value of 0, 1, 0 is not pressed, 1 is pressed, and that's it. So you basically want to set it up. I have to right click right click gives you all these options. Very intimidating, but if you spend time, it's not that bad. But the thing we want is a little hidden under this input action field, and then there's input actions, and we just want to click on it, add it. When you click on it, it's going to ask you to give it a name. Give it a descriptive name. Don't name it A, don't name it B, just good habits. Because when you think, oh man, I could push this to Steam, all right, let me further develop this, and then you're like, why is this blueprint called A? What does it do? So you want to name it well. But yeah, in it, you would make an input action move 2D, and like in that screenshot, this is reading axis 2D, so that means 2 vectors, X and Y, and then we give it a dead zone. Again, you don't want to have it be super sensitive that if you touch it, you like move at full speed. And on top of that, you'd make a second one called IA underscore smooth turn. This time I only take one dimension, which is just the X, and give it the same kind of dead zone. Yeah, and then from there is this mapping, input action mapping. And what it does is basically, I'm gonna map everything to this default key mappings where in the regular template, this is already included all here. And basically this is saying for the movement, I just want the right thumbstick, and whenever I flick it up, I'm gonna draw a trace. And whenever I let go, I'm gonna teleport to where I drew that trace. Same with the turn, it's on the left stick. Whenever I flick it left or right, I'm gonna get that turn, whatever direction I wanted. The things that we had to add was by clicking this add mappings at the top, we just had to reference the 2 input actions that we made, and then we referenced the controllers. That's about it. Looks scary, intimidating, there's a lot of stuff on there. It's not that bad. Just try to give it a shot one time. And then that's it. You've successfully would have mapped your controller layout, and you did like no programming. So that's good. And then you open this thing, and when this opens, this is what you see. And you're like, geez, where do you start? You don't like, you can read the comments, and that's all they really say, like begin play, set tracking to origin floor, and that's kind of what it does. Give like a rundown. Head mounted display enabled, if it's true, do tracking on the origin floor, and execute console commands, do a little bit of other stuff. Add mapping context. This is very important. This IMC default is where we mapped our input actions. So we need to do that so that it's referenced in our character. 9 times out of 10 in an industry standard, it's put into like a player controller class or something, and everything is done there. Yeah, and then they do one for hands as well. And then in the screenshots that we did, we kind of looked at these guys here, the snap turn. So originally, there was no that and there's not that. So that was gone, and it was just like this. This is what kind of comes in default, makes you snap turn. What's the point of adding these Boolean values? We don't always want to snap turn. What if we want to enable something else different? How we add the Boolean again, on this left side, there's a variables. You click plus, and you can add your Booleans, any variables you want. Yellow is a vector, so that's 3 points. Boolean is just true or false. Float is like 0.56 or 5.7 something. This weird like grid-shaped vector is an array of vectors, and that's a bunch of programming stuff. So if you're an artist and you end up working on Unreal, you don't really need to worry about all of that, but it's good to know. You had a question?
I'm good now.
Okay. And then floats. I'll show you how we made these floats because they weren't in the screenshots. But yeah, kind of get all of that. And it's like, how do you get these nodes? Whenever you right click anywhere in an empty space in a blueprint, it opens up this whole thing. So you could look at like tick. Event tick is like delta time. It runs on delta time. Very useful, not very performant, so use it when you have to. But in the terms of like what we wanted to do, if you were to look up one of these input action maps that we made, or input actions that we made, IA stands for input action. So if I do IA underscore smooth, or turn smooth right there, if I click it, it takes me here because it's already there. But if one didn't exist, it would make this in the blueprint, and then that's kind of where you start everything. So basically what it's saying is this node is an event, so whenever the event is called, and the event's called whenever I interact with the mapping, which was the left joystick for turning, or the right joystick for turning, that it's going to do all this stuff. So I could have it be something different. I could say when it's triggered, I'm going to delete system32, and when you finish it, I'm going to restart your computer, and then your computer's fried. But we're not going to do that. Yeah, and then you kind of get this node, and when you drag off of it, it's going to ask you, where is it going to go? I can type in branch, and I click there, and look at that. I made a new branch, and see previously this triggered was attached to that branch, but since I dragged off and I made a new one, it's just going to assume default that whatever happens and it's true, it's just going to go to this branch. Very simple way to add things in between, and it's easy to read and follow, but we don't need it for the purpose of this. So we're just going to drag it back. Use smooth turning. How did I get that kind of popping up? You can just drag it. Excuse me. You can drag it and do a get. Or let's say you wanted to set it, you could drag it and get a set. What could you do with this? What if you wanted to dynamically change the Boolean? You could set up a input action, change it so that whenever you hit A, it switches it from true to false. And then you can use both inputs at the same time. Very interesting. But that's more of like a topic, or more Unreal stuff would belong to an Unreal workshop. But yeah, and it's like, how did I get this rotation speed? Let's say I never had this. And it's just gone. If I drag off of this, there's a thing up here called promote variable. I click it, and it instantly creates a new variable. I have to give it a new name, and then I can use it throughout my project. Very useful for when you realize, hey, maybe I shouldn't use hard-coded information, hard-coded numbers. Hard-coded is like this. 0.0 is hard-coded. 10 is hard-coded. It means that it will never change unless if I go into the code and change it myself. But with having it be tied to a variable, what happens is, if I look at my class default, and I remove my search, I have a rotation speed right here and a speed for movement. I can edit it there. And then for every instance that this thing exists, it's changed. Let's say I had different instances or child classes, and I wanted it to propagate to everything. You could have it propagate if you hard code it, but if you change it from one child class, it won't change it for everything. And maybe you want to have it propagate upwards, but it won't. Yeah, there's a lot of things. A lot of things for Unreal, which it could be its own workshop. But yeah, and then smooth turning, or smooth movement, sorry. Same thing, multiply speed by whatever the input action value is. Get right vector from the camera is, I think it's the X vector always pointing. And then the get forward vector is, I'm pretty sure, I think it's the Z? I can't remember exactly. But basically what they are is, no matter how your actor or whatever camera is placed in the world, it will always have these vectors that you can call upon that's facing relative to that actor. And it's good to keep things consistent. But yeah, I think that's it. I think with the VR headsets, you guys can just like turn them on and try them out. And if I have questions, I can answer them. But yeah, this is pretty much it. Yeah.
We do a thing where we ask you to make these changes to the game while we're inside it, and then you're supposed to program to those to happen.
Like right now? I mean, I could try. I could tell you if it's like too much for me given an hour. Yeah, but go ahead. What do you want me to try?
Could you make it so, I don't know, make it so that your hands are really big and then they change the size of whatever they hold to that its size.
Huh. Okay.
That's it.
I mean, no, I don't think so. I can see. Probably set into the blueprint. So basically what I'm thinking is I have to get where they spawn them in, and then I just do times 10 to the like scale of it, and you'll have big hands.
When the event triggers that you touched it,
Or the event of me spawning in with like my hands and everything to change the model size to be like times 10 its normal size.
and you just do that by putting like a simple like node like that, right?
Yeah. I just have to find where exactly it's done, where it spawns everything in. Because a viewport is kind of like an example of what you would see if you put it into the world. Right now it's just a camera. There's no hands, there's nothing. It's kind of basic. I don't know if the hands are tied to this. I know there's a hand right, oh it is, look at that. Actually, I could just do it right here. Let's see what happens if I like times this by 10. Oh.
Oh.
And this is another example of like hard coding. So I'm making this a 10. What if I wanted to dynamically change it? You can't hard code it. You probably want to make a variable that could be manipulated, that gets
So
read.
that's when you use like promote to variable.
Yeah, promote to variable. Like if you do, let's say in one of the nodes you could do, let me do an example here. I have a hand left. So if I go back to the event graph here and I right click and I do hand left, scale. I don't know if there's, maybe set world scale 3D. And then from here I can do like promote to variable, and now I have a new variable and I could call it hands scale, and then I can adjust this, so something like that. But for the purpose, I just want to see what happens if I run this with big hands, because that's a good point. See what kind of, I'm connected, launch. Do we have big hands? We most definitely have big hands. So now it's hard to judge if like I can grab this. Can I, how close do I have to be? I don't even, am I holding? I'm holding it, look, I'm holding it. So I am holding it, so that's cool. But yeah, you got like big hands. It's like good for fighting. What happens if I grab a gun? But, so the funny thing, they have it set that whenever you grab a gun, your hand disappears. So you just like kind of have a gun. It looks nice. It feels good. But like if I throw it, I have a big hand. And you can see like the animations.
New game concept just dropped.
Yeah, big hands.
You know how people have like the slapping tournaments?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so hard.
Yes, it would.
Now,
A little too much.
can I do like get scale? Okay, so I can get world scale, right? Now let me see if this is where it handles grabbing something. Input action grab, left pressed. You know what? Let's be a bad programmer and use event tick for something so not needed.
Isn't that like the update in Unity?
Yeah, that's like update. So you want to use this very sparingly. In Unreal, there's a thing called event dispatcher. So what happens is you can, it's right here. You can add something and it's called like, let's just call it call. If I drag it out and put it into the blueprint, call. Basically what it is call. It's just sending out, think of like a signal, like you're trying to call people. And in other blueprints, if I reference and bind this event, or bind the event dispatcher to an event from a different blueprint, whenever it gets called in here, it's gonna tell this other blueprint, okay, hey, I'm calling you, do this. Use cases that I've used it for is when I have like a specific interaction that I want to cause like a chain thing to happen. And otherwise, it's also another way to just avoid tick, because I can have, whenever I grab something, call this, and when that gets called, do this function. And that kind of replaces it. Instead of being checked every time, it's only happening when I say to do it. So think of it like that. But for the purpose of this, I just want to see if this would work. If I put it in tick, yeah, no, if I do it in tick and I do like left held component. So this should be the item that I grab on my left hand. And I do set scale, right? And then if I go zoom out to where I did that, right here, you can control copy, control V. It did it again. That's okay. Hand left. So it didn't work. I think I accidentally copied nothing and it overrided my thing, but I can get it. I can get this, or I think I could just drag, yeah, so here it's like search for node. I could be like get scale. Let's do this. Yeah, get relative scale. So actually not relative, we want world. So we need to do the other one. Get world scale. So it's gonna set it. And the issue, a few problems with this, it's going to constantly be setting it for as long as I'm holding on to the thing. Very not performant, but for the purpose of this, we'll see if it works. If it does work, it'll be funny. My big hands. Okay, let's get in there. Oh. Okay, so it didn't work, but kind of like the logic is there that I'm trying to grab something, and when I grab it, I want to get that reference of the object that I grabbed, and from that object that I grab, what happened? What did I close? Cool. Oh. So it's saying there's nothing, there's nothing there because, okay. So it's saying there's nothing there because I'm constantly checking. So what if I'm not holding on to anything? Yeah, so there's a thing called valid. Yeah, so there's two. One's like a node that's similar to this blue guy over here. But this one kind of runs and execute and does that. I also realized another thing. I set this up for the left hand and I grabbed with my right hand. So let's do it with my left hand and see what happens. This might work. This might actually work and it might be fun. So if I try to grab this. Oh, I grabbed it. Okay, it didn't work. But what if I grab this? Still didn't work. Okay. It could be, if you guys want to see something cool, is there's like this you can view this. If you have it running in the viewport instead of doing like a standalone thing where it runs on the headset, if I do something like selected viewport, it'd run it. And then if I go back here and I select my pawn object, you can see that it's consistently firing.
It's not finding anything valid?
It's not finding anything valid, so it's not firing. Like if I had something down here, it'd be doing something else. But that kind of signifies like, hey, it's running. Downside to this, I've only ever got it to work when I run through editor. And the thing with the editor is it doesn't launch in here. So I can't really play it. Plus, if you're trying to develop in VR, you're not going to be able to see this happening. So this is a good way to test like other actors, mechanics, stuff that's happening. But yeah. But I'm not entirely sure why it may not be working. Could be relative. I need relative scale, maybe.
Wait, where are you multiplying the scale there?
I'm not multiplying, I'm setting it.
You're setting it?
So like it should just give it times 10.
Oh, new scale is where times 10 would be.
Yeah, so that's like, I'm just give it new scale. So I'm not adding anything to it, I'm just giving it a new scale. If I wanted to add to it, I would have to get the object scale, my scale, add the vectors, and then set it. Yeah. Let's try this. Maybe this will work. Oops. So do in VR, preview. See if this works. Big hands. No. So yeah, there's something else going on with it that would be able to make it get bigger, maybe. But yeah. Is there anything else you want me to try? Or you guys can just play around in VR.
Does everyone want to just start playing around VR?
We might as well.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go crazy.
All right, y'all, go for it, y'all.
Well, I'll go to my last slide. Thank you. I appreciate everyone who decided to sit through this process with me, and thank you for having me do this slideshow. If at any point anybody goes to Elixir or has questions about VR or anything, best way to like contact me about serious things is LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me. I'm not like against it. I mainly use it to play the puzzle games that remind me every day. But if I get messages, I will like respond if you have questions about Elixir, about VR, about going to a master's or anything. So yeah.
Can you message you on Discord?
Yeah, you could. I don't always get a notification, so if I'm not like online, I might not see it. And so you might not get like a response quicker. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries.